Wilcox. Go ahead and if you have questions for Coach, go ahead and let me know in the chat, and we'll get going. We'll go ahead and we'll get started. We'll mix it up a little bit again. We'll start with Trace Travers.
Always rely on Jeff to go first to ease me into it. But anyhow, Coach, good to see you. Is there any update on the guys who have been out with injuries? The Curhan, Daltoso, Craig, Moore, Croto, Stanley McKenzie, Christakos, and there's another one that I'm Tattersall.
Okay, we might have to go through this individually. Start again and I'll tell you.
Curhan.
He'll be back with us.
Daltoso.
We don't know yet.
Will Craig.
He'll be back with us.
Braxton Croto.
He'll be back.
Colin Moore.
He'll be back.
Stanley McKenzie.
Game time.
Tommy Christakos.
Game time.
And Evan Tattersall.
We anticipate him being back.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, Trace, that might be the last time we start with you. We'll go to Jeff Frado next.
Yeah, I could have done that. Justin, can you talk about, have those fellows who are cleared to play on the weekend, how much practice time have they gotten, and how much rust is there, or where do you think they're at?
Well, the good news was we got them cleared about 1 o'clock today, so they were able to join us for meetings and practice today, which was great news.
And do you have any sense, and a couple of these guys are veterans, certainly Jake is the time away going to be substantial impact, or do you expect them to sort of slide back in like nothing's happened?
I think even veterans need to practice. I think even people that have played the game for 20 years still need to practice in order to play. The more reps and experience they have, the quicker they tend to get back into the rhythm. And so it was important to get them back at practice today, and tomorrow will be another day under their belt to tighten things up, and Friday as well. So the more the better, and we'll take what we can get. But we were all encouraged that they were able to come back today once we got that word around, like I said, 1 o'clock or so.
And is Christopher Brown Jr. continuing to progress well?
He is. He's had a good week, and looking forward to him competing.
Is it helpful to you with regard to what's going on that you're at home this week and don't have to travel and take away from prep time?
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of college football is, you get about half at home and half on the road. So it's always nice to play at home.
I just mean that with so many guys who are sort of transitioning back into action, that perhaps it's easier to get them more time on the field in prep.
Well, we don't cut short, traditionally, we don't cut short practice time, even if we're traveling. We schedule the travel around the practice time. So even if we are leaving the area, we still get our Friday work in either home or away.
And just one last follow-up on this. How much of a sort of emotional boost is it to your team to go to practice and sort of be whole again to a large degree?
Anytime we can have the majority of the team on the field, that's a good thing. We would still love to have the entire team be able to practice together. That's not in the cards right now, but the more the merrier. So everybody, it just helps everyone, because not only from I guess the emotional aspect of having all your buddies back and the guys who have played a lot back with you, it also matters for reps and potential service, or, we're not quite into having enough for scout team, but it helps for repetitions as well.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go back to Trace Travers.
All right. One thing when we talked to Coach Musgrave earlier, when he talked about when you guys were running through the game plan as far as the toss play you guys ran last Friday, Coach Thompson suggested the actual toss piece of it. And that got me wondering how, I guess, collaborative is the play calling when it comes to both offense and defense for you guys? How much input goes into it during those meetings and actually on game day?
Yeah, it's very collaborative. We're fortunate to have, some really experienced guys on both sides of the ball that bring a lot of ideas. The play calls on Saturday are made by the coordinators in their respective sides of the ball. But there's always been a lot of discussion, in between series, potentially in between plays, what do you like here based on what they've done? There's those type of things that happen. And that's pretty common. But again, you want everybody to be the head coach of their position and own their group that way, and take ownership in that group. And it was great. I think that's a great example. We had run the G play some in practice and prior in the season. And, Aristotle had a thought about just so, certain guys see things a little bit differently, and maybe the angle on a toss versus the handoff might help them. And those little things, it works both ways. You can run a play different way. You can play cover three a couple different ways. There's different ways to do things. So sometimes input from that position can be really helpful. And we're fortunate to have guys that do that on both sides of the ball.
With that, both your play callers, if I'm not mistaken, are calling plays from the field as opposed to the booth. Is there any big difference in having your guys, your play callers and Coach Musgrave and Coach Sherman down on the field as opposed to upstairs where they could maybe see things a bit better?
It's totally dependent on your staff makeup and who's where, and that you have trusted eyes in the press box, which we do. And there's value in both. There's value in being on the field. There's value in being in the press box. There's not one way to do it. I think I would imagine Bill's done it both ways. I know Peter has. I know I did. I mean, there's just different ways to do it. And a lot of time it has to do with your staff makeup, kind of the team makeup, that type of thing.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrado. Jeff?
Yeah, Justin. It occurs to me that, you've coached against Oregon a number of times now, and Peter did last year, but now you also have Bill on the staff. So all three of you are former Ducks. Do you talk about that? It's a while ago for some of you, but what's it like for all three of you to be former Oregon guys now coaching against Oregon on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for anybody else. I can assure you that we don't talk about it in meetings. It never comes up in the hallway. It doesn't come up at practice. We're invested with our football team and our players. And that's where it starts and stops. And again, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but it never comes up. We're concerned with coaching our players and our team to be the best we can possibly be, and that's it. And it probably just makes for maybe I know you probably like a different answer, or maybe something that's maybe more exciting or got more to it than that, but that's how it is. I mean, we come in here and we're invested with our players. We care tremendous about these guys, and we're fortunate to be coaching at Cal, and we take that job and that responsibility very seriously.
The answer I wanted was the truth, and I think you gave me that, so I'm good with it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, back to Trace Travers.
Yeah, when we talked to Coach Sherman earlier, he talked about the pistol that Coach Moorhead runs up there and kind of the challenges that provides for you guys. What kind of challenges do you foresee from what you've seen from Oregon's offense so far?
You see pistol throughout college football quite a bit now. This is the most we have seen it thus far this season. And they do a good job with it. They got good players, they got good schemes. We're just really concerned with how we're playing and what we need to do in order to play well. So that's about it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Max Frankie from Bear Insider.
Yeah, Coach, what have you guys been doing in practice this week to take into account the errors this past week, including muff punts and the missed kicks?
What do we do in practice? Well, we work on the techniques and schemes that we need to improve upon so we can play better. So we do that each and every week, regardless of the outcome. of the game. We identify what we did well and what we need to work on, and then we go practice that. So
Thanks,
that's
Coach.
what we did this week.
The running backs have been a focal point for the team. Really impressive this past week. And can you talk about Aristotle Thomas and the impact he's had on that committee?
Yeah, Aristotle Thompson is new to our staff. I've known him a long time. He is, first and foremost, it's just a superhuman being. He cares a lot about his players. You can see the response and the way that they interact with him before it even gets to football. And then on top of that, he's a very knowledgeable guy when it comes to football. He's been coaching a while. He's been in different schemes. He's coached special teams. He's just done a lot of different things, and we're fortunate to have him here. He's a very bright guy. He's a great teacher, a great teammate for all of us coaches, and a great mentor for our players. So we're really fortunate to have Aristotle, and I've known him a long time, dating way back, probably to when he was just coming out of high school. But really glad that he's here with us.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay. Trace has another question. Go ahead, Trace.
I'm sorry. No, I was just out of pure curiosity. You've talked about technique on those field goal situations. What exactly is the technique at that position, that I guess right guard spot, supposed to look like?
Well, it's more than just one position. And, what we ask those guys to do, there's footwork involved, there's pad level involved. There's guys that do that for a living in terms of they do it every play. It's very similar to some offensive line technique that's used. Sometimes we'll use defensive linemen on that unit. I think there's always room for improvement, whether it's that position, whether it's the snap, the hold, and the kick, whether it's the tackle position that's got to step down. It all has to work together. It's never just one guy, and we got to make sure that we're teaching that well, and we give them enough reps to be successful. We've had some movement in there due to some people being out, but ultimately it's on us as coaches to make sure we give the players the tools and then the repetitions to play the techniques, and so we can go out and execute it.
Yeah, is the first step inside on that, or how does that?
I'm not going to necessarily go into all that. I know, Trace, kind of what you're getting at. There's more than one person. It's not just the right guard or the left guard or the right tackle, left tackle, or the kicker. There's a lot of people involved. We spend a lot of time on it. We got to make sure, like I said, we get enough repetitions with the people that are involved. Sometimes guys get thrown in positions for different reasons, and it's ultimately on us as coaches to make sure that we get them enough reps to be successful.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey guys, anybody with the final question? Give you a couple seconds here in the chat. Looks like Max Frankie from Bear Insider has another. Go ahead, Max.
Coach, the defense was pretty solid against Stanford. They made a lot of stops on third down, and there was one play where there was a fumble that led to 2 or 3 plays, and then there was a touchdown. What do you feel? How do you feel about the defense going into this week? And are you satisfied with their performance so far?
They've given great effort. I think they're playing really hard. I think we've made a lot of strides in the last 2 weeks. We can always play better on defense. I think a lot of last week's game, they played well. We had a couple short fields where we need to find a way to get off the field and get a stop on a critical third down. The one other thing I think we can improve upon is taking the ball away. And we had an opportunity last week. Daniel Scott made a really nice play on an interception. Unfortunately, it was negated by a penalty, so we got to clean that up. But again, I really think the guys are playing hard. I think they know what to do, and it's going to be a challenge each and every week with the teams we play, but I really appreciate their effort and focus on the detail. We just got to continue to push ourselves so we can play better and better.
Okay, guys, I think we're good for tonight. Thank you.